Happy Bow Tie Friday. I'm Austin Griffith, hanging out with the Build Guild. Today we're going to look at Diamond Standard build and maybe a little NFT build, but I'll hand it over to Viraz and let's just dive into, I probably have to set you so you can share your screen. Now you can share your screen. Dive in. So you did a Diamond Standard branch before, but I think this is an extension of that or something more. Maybe you can speak to that a little bit too.
I think, so currently there are two branches in there, right? So this one, which is named as Diamond Standard, which I did a few months back. So this basically showcases how you interact with the diamond, basically with the faucet contracts, right? And the one we did now shows upgradability, right? Which is again one of the most important aspects of using Diamond Standard. So both right now we have kept it separate, right, just for simplicity, right? So I'll just first, I think, just give a very short intro about Diamond Standard, right? So everyone has some context, right? So basically, so it's EIP 2535. You can check this out. I've mentioned this on the README too. And basically, Diamond Standard, I think there are a few advantages that it provides us. One, I think, as I talked about, its upgradability. It makes your upgrades very efficient, because as we all know, with the governance and everything, upgrades are a pretty important aspect, right? So with Diamond Standard, you have to just basically worry about just one address, right? And you can interact with all of your contracts through just one address, right, which is the Diamond contract, and it uses Diamond storage. So all of your other contracts do not really need to have any storage mechanisms. So you can have all your storage placed in one contract, and all other contracts can just feed off it, right? So these are few. And then there is the contract size limit, right, which with the 24 KB size limit, that does hamper sometimes your development milestones, right? So you can use Diamond to avoid all of that, especially if I think you have a long bunch of contracts that you want to have. So, if maybe it is a protocol or something with plug and play stuff, so you can use Diamond Standard there with just one diamond and plenty of faucets, and you can do upgrades pretty efficiently. So I think this is just a crux of it. I mean, you can go through the EIP, which will provide you much better explanation. Right. So I'll just dive into what we have. Right. So I'll just dive into the code first, and then we have the UI, which was pretty nicely styled by Aaron Stoll. I should mention that. I'll just dive into the UI once. In fact, let me just open another tab, right, so that I can open the UI first. Give me a second.
And just to speak to this a little bit more, it's kind of interesting. The Diamond Standard probably uses like delegate call, where it's like an underlying call that actually calls on another contract, like uses the functionality of another contract, but uses your local storage. And it's very scary. It's something that like I've tried to avoid, just because like you have to do it exactly right, and it's got to be shaped the exact same. And if it's not in the right order, bad things can happen. Just like it's super hard to debug. So using a standard, using stuff that someone else has built that kind of has been audited and figured out, like this is exciting for me, because I want to be able to say, this is my storage layer, this is my execution. I want to add some new things to the execution, but keep my storage the same. And I think that's kind of what this gives you. But it's scary. Delegate call like always gives me goosebumps whenever I see it in a smart contract.
Yeah, so basically I'm just opening another link as well. Just I forgot the link. Yeah, I should have opened this before. Sorry.
Okay. 4byte directory is an awesome site. I feel like this is a good example of a public good. We should fund 4byte directory.
Yeah, I'll just come to this, dive into this. Yeah, so basically this is the main UI that we have. So we are doing all upgrades through the UI. So you don't need to do anything, you don't need to run any commands or anything if you want to upgrade your, you have a Diamond structure ready. You don't need to upgrade your command or use any upgrade commands or anything. You can just use this UI and do all the upgrades you want, with with regards to your diamond contracts, right? So I'll just dive into what we have, what kind of upgrades. So first, upgrades with diamond standard are of three types in, generally as well, right? You can add stuff, you can replace, or you can remove, right? So basically what we have in the UI, we are listing the operation that you want to choose, right? With regards to the update the type of update you want to perform. And based on that, you have to upload the ABI of the updated contract, because for if you upgrade the contract, you will need to deploy that faucet, right? So that it can be linked, so that the diamond can be upgraded. That's a part of the process. And then after you have the uploaded ABI, we just click on a button which is upgrade. You get your first we deploy the contract with Ether's contract factory, which is pretty efficient to use with this use case. It fits in perfectly, right? You just one click upgrade, right? And then you can add your selector information on the UI and just click upgrade, and your diamond gets upgraded, right? Which in turns results in you interacting with your new functionality that you have added with just one address again. So basically, now I'll dive into the code just a little bit. So I'll first start off with the deployment script, which is again the starting point of getting your diamond up and ready, right? So basically, when you deploy a diamond, you need to pass in some diamond cut params, right? Which is nothing but the information regarding your faucet contracts. And again, faucets are basically just the external contracts that your diamond is communicating with, right? So basically, the structure is that you provide the address, and because you are deploying it first time, right? So the operation will always be add, which is again an enum. It's just an enum, right? And then you provide a selector list, which is the signature hashes of that particular faucet contract. So basically, ethers is pretty efficient in doing the conversion for you. So you can just have the contract instance deployed, and then you can pass the instance to this method, and it will get an array of signature hashes for you, which you can use in this param list. And then you can just do a deployment, and you have your diamond ready, right? So this is the deployment stuff of it. I'm not sure if I'm going pretty fast, but let me know
You're
if
good.
there are, yeah.
It's complicated, but you should just speed run it. That's great. If someone
Yeah.
has questions, feel free to ask too. But like, this is a pretty complicated thing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
You're good.
simplify it, yeah, as much as I can. Yeah, so this, you have the set of params, you have your diamond ready. Then what we have is, I have a couple of test faucets that I'll be using. I'll just be using one, to be honest, to just show you how upgrade works, right? So these are just a couple of D5 faucets, pretty old contracts that I had, which don't use any storage mechanism, right? So we can just upgrade one of them. And then what we have is, this is the diamond contract, which is the main part. And I think this is what Austin, you were talking about with the fallback mechanism and the delegate call, right? So this is the main contract where the whole magic happens basically. So we just
And what
pass.
it's using these modules, right? So these facets that you're talking about are just like these modules, and you can add and
Yeah.
remove these facets, but they're basically just, here's how you interact with it. It's just like an ABI, like you said. It's just like giving the delegate call the information of just like what function to call and what those parameters look like.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, and another advantage is modularity, right? As you mentioned, so you can have pretty efficient, modular code with Diamond standard. Yeah. So basically, you just have to provide the data params, which include, your byte params, basically, which includes the function details, what you want to do, what operation you want to perform, and you just call this method, this fallback method, from the UI, and you have your, transaction executed. So this is mainly mainly about diamond, and it's using diamond storage, which is again specific to diamond standard, where they store selector information via libraries and all, right? Because each selector is 4 bytes, so based on that, the whole uh, logic is in place. Now I'll just jump into the diamond cut faucet. So this is the main part where the main upgrade, the complete upgrade logic lies. So all the upgrades that you do happen via this faucet. right? And this is interacting with a library, right? I'm just going a high level, right? So this is using a library where you have, you have if else conditions based on the action you requested, right? So there are three if conditions, which add, replace, and remove. So with add, what happens is go through the diamond storage and see space, find out space, and store the new selector details in there and the new faucet details, right? With the replace, it's just overriding your previous information, like a replace works, right? You just override your previous selector details and the faucet details as well. And with delete, with delete, you don't have to do any deployment, right? Because we can just remove the selector details from the storage, so you don't have to perform any faucet deployment with that. I'll just come to that on the UI, right? So that's how, on a high level, it works. I know it might not be that clear, on just one call, but yeah, that's high
Careful.
level.
You're saying faucet. I think it's facet too. I think it's so it's like
I'm
a facet is like it's like we have all these faucets, and faucets are like where we go to get ETH, right? And it's like that's a common word for us, but I think it's facet, and I
Yeah,
think it's like a diamond connector. It's like a side of it.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Careful confusing the two for noobs that are getting in. Yeah.
Yeah. So now what I'll do is I'll just perform an add operation, right? So I have this test facet, right? I have this test facet, and I'll just uncomment this method, which wasn't there when I deployed. So I have the deployment already done for the diamond contract, right? I have my diamond setup. So what I'll do is I'll just upgrade this contracts and compile this. So I will have the new ABI file with me, right? So again, it says the new ABI. So I'll just do this. I'll uncomment this, and in my new terminal, I'll just yeah. So I'll just compile this so that the ABI gets updated. This is the only step that you have to do, while upgrading in terms of command line stuff. So now my ABI is upgraded. Now I've chosen add selector, which is default. Now I'll click on confirm action. My action was picked, and I'll just click on this, and now I'll have to browse through my files actually. Just give me a second. This is taking long. Sorry, I have to browse through all my files, my ABI files. I'm just going to this. Right, my ABI.
One little trick here is if you're in your terminal, you can do an open and then space and then dot, and it'll bring up your file browser for that wherever that terminal was. So from where you did your yarn compile, you could do an open dot and it would bring up the file explorer at that location. But this is good. This is great too. You're good.
Yeah, so basically, as you see in the ABI is updated, right? We see the new method, which was get owner that I uncommented. Now I'll just open this, and now my ABI has been uploaded, right? So now what I'll do is I'll first deploy this updated contract, right? And my deployment is done with just one click. And now I'm just going to grab some funds from the faucet, right, to have, so that I can broadcast the transaction easily. Now, so here I'll just provide, there is a form where I'll just provide these function signature details, which is just a string, right? Essentially just a string. You just have to do this. It depends. I've mentioned this on the placeholder, right? If you say have two integer types, so you have to do uint, right? So you have to do that. Else you can just leave it blank. So you just have to, depends on the signature that you want to add, right? And now when I click on upgrade diamond, my transaction is broadcasted successfully and it's confirmed. And when I update the UI once, I'll see the updated selector list here, right? Which would mean that my diamond has been upgraded. So you will see now your diamond has been upgraded, and you can use this method as well with the new facet that you added, right? So just yeah, so this is basically it. On a pretty high level, we can do remove as well, and I'll just show remove. I won't do the upgrade. I'll just show what difference does remove have with add and replace, right? So I'll confirm remove again. I'm just doing this just to get to that step. And you will see that the deploy button is disabled for remove part, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, with remove we can just delete the selector storage. We don't need to deploy a new facet specifically. And again, another difference is that with add and remove you have to do it one on one. That is one selector at a time. Otherwise you get a duplication error. Because if you add all of your facet, all of your signatures, right, again and again, then you will it will revert at the library where the upgrade happens. So you won't be able to upgrade. So that's why for add and delete you have to specifically provide the particular selector that you want to upgrade, that you want to add or delete. With replace, it's fine, as long as your signature, the number of arguments on your function remains the same. It's fine. So with replace, we don't need this, this input field. But with add and remove, we need this so that you can specifically add and you don't, get the duplication error that this uh, signature already exists. If you are just updating one signature. So yeah, on a high level, this that is that. And then so this list that we have, this details, facet and selector details that we have, this is just for UI purposes, for so you can you are aware that your details, what facets that you're using, and your details are updated about. So for that, I'll just dive into that as well quickly. There is a special facet which is diamond loop faucet, facet again, sorry, yeah, which basically tracks all the selectors and the facet details. So you can just call these methods and you get the list of all the updated updated selectors in the diamond and the facets that the diamond has currently. So that's why when I refreshed my screen, I got a updated list where I queried this, where I called this method again, which is just a read method, right? Just a view method. I called this again and it returned me an array of the updated the updated diamond details, right? And we are just displaying that on the UI. So this was mainly about the contracts. Now I'll just dive a bit into, just quickly dive a bit into the UI code, because there is a lot of logic in there as well with the UI that you see. I'll uh, just give me a second. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, we have a step UI again, thanks to Iron Soul for his, pretty good stuff, pretty good stuff on the UI. And so we have a step-by-step step UI basically, right? So the important bits, I'll just dive into those, which is the last step that you see, right? So we have, yeah, I'm just yeah, so basically these are three functions, right? We have the deploy contract method where we just use Ether's contract factory and get your new facet deployed based on the action, right? Then we have the upgrade diamond method, right, where we do the actual upgrade. So here, this is what I was talking about when I meant we are constructing the data for the fallback function. So this is basically a data being constructed, which is basically a diamond cut function that's being called to upgrade the diamond, right? So we construct this data and then we make a call to the fallback function, right, to upgrade basically. And then what we do is we call this method to get the latest list of the facet and the selectors in there that we updated, right? So we call this method with the this method that I mentioned earlier. uh, uh, we get the details, right, with the loop facet. And then what we do is we use this API, right? That I'm just coming to it now. So because we can't really show the signatures as it is, right, the hashes as it is on the UI, because it won't make any sense, right, to any newbie or anyone using this initially. It won't make really much sense because you can't just yeah, it doesn't make sense with UI. So what we did was we use this API, right, to get we use this API to decode the hash into the signature, right? Decode the hash into the text signature, sorry, right? So we can view the name of the method that was updated or added, you know, with the update process. The only caveat with this right now, which I've also added mentioned on the README, is that this is essentially a database, right? Where there can be a case that there are some signature collisions or some signatures might not be available. So, and when there's that case, you won't see that those signatures on the UI. So that's the only caveat sort of with using this. But right now, we are using this. So yeah, we are using this to get decode stuff basically, and then displaying it on the UI. So in all, I think that was it. And I know it might not have been very clear, but yeah.
Let's do a quick like just high level overview. This like so my understanding of it, make sure I think of it correctly. So we just use ethers to deploy the contract. You were saying contract factory, but it's not like a factory where it's like a factory deploying the contract. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
what
just
ethers calls its deployer, right? So we deploy a contract normally, and where the address that lands, that's basically your contract. That's where it's going to be forever. You can send tokens to that. That's like the identity of this contract, and that's where the storage is. But then we have these facets, which are other smart contracts with just some functionality that we can add to them. We can throw function in there. We could throw no storage in a facet. It's probably just functions. Okay. And we can throw functions in there. Say someone sends some tokens to our contract. We don't have a transfer tokens function yet. We could add a facet that lets us transfer our tokens out of our contract. So, and then with facets, you can add, update, and remove. And it just like the modularity there is just like so obvious and clear. Like it's Nick Mudge, I think, that did the Diamond Standard, right?
Yeah.
That's a very, I DK about his naming, but I really like, this is a very clear pattern in terms of the modularity. I think diamonds make sense, but I think some people have given some slack. And then there's the loop, which is, and it's spelled L-O, I don't even know. It's another diamond term, but a loop is used to view, it's like a thing that you look at diamonds with, but it's a way for you to on chain do a read, and it tells you all the different facets and all the different interfaces. So it's sort of a way to get a picture of your diamond in its full state, just read only, but that's really handy to get that. And so yeah, it's good for upgrading, good for storage. I think I covered it like in a real speed run there, but it makes so much sense that you can just add and remove these facets to an existing contract. Like the pattern is brilliant.
Just one more thing I wanted to mention is while you, as I think I mentioned this earlier as well. While you are interacting with the diamond, so you don't need to really you're not really concerned with these addresses, right? You're just concerned with the diamond address. You'll just interact with the fallback function for every operation that you want to perform. If it's not an upgrade, with upgradability, yes, you have to pass the facet details on to when you are doing the upgrade. But besides that, these facet addresses will not be used anywhere when you are interacting, right? You just interact the with the diamond. You just have to construct the data and just call the diamond fallback, and it will do everything on its own. Yeah, with the delegate call. Yeah. So that's
one question would be, when you do that first initial deployment, what has to go there? There must be something that has to go that hooks in. Is that original delegate call thing that you were pointing out? Like, what's the base minimum that you have to deploy to be able to bootstrap this whole facet system?
there is no like limit of contracts that that you have to do.
Just the starting point, though. There must be some
Yeah.
kind of like bootstrap that has to get deployed for you to add facets and stuff like that.
Yeah, so basically this is just the diamond cut params that I've mentioned.
Diamond cut.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, so there is a pattern. I'll just dive into it as well. I'm just yeah. So yeah, so this is basically the thing that you need to deploy when you are setting up a diamond, right? Which is the facet address, right? You deploy all your facets initially individually, right? You deploy them individually, and then you provide the action, which is basically just an enum, which would be add, and the add value is 0, right? And then this is where you provide the 4-byte selector details, right? That you want to add for each facet that you want to link with the diamond, basically. And this deployment script right now, it handles everything really. It gets you the array of the the selector list that you want for that particular facet, and you can do this for all other facets as well. And you have this a nested array basically, and you provide this nested array into the argument as argument, right? And you have your timing set up. So yeah.
Awesome. Very cool stuff. I feel like when we start talking about deploying some like really heady upgradable stuff, this modularity is going to be really useful. Great stuff. Will you send me the link to the repo so I can post it in the YouTube
Yeah.
notes too, so we have it? Great work, Faraz. Anybody final questions on the diamond standard or the facet pattern or the loop view system? It's super cool. Awesome stuff. All right, I'll probably steal the screen for you for one quick thing also. Let's see if I can do that. Let's see.
I've just stopped sharing.
Awesome. Word. I wanted to show this little thing off just kind of for fun, but this is the butterfly claims repo, and I'll throw that into chat too. But it does this cool thing in this smart contract where, so it starts with the, what was it called? I think we called it the ghosted token. Yeah, there we go. This ghosted token would let you switch out the metadata. So we've talked about having an NFT that has a metadata server that'll serve the content differently. But if you wanted to have it built into the token, it's a little more complicated. And the key insight was that in the smart contract, we actually flip out the token URI. So if I get in here and I look at this collectible, look at, yeah, right here. I basically have this Boolean of whether the token is on or off, and the owner can just swap it. But depending on if it's on or off, it returns a different token URI. So just like from a high level, an NFT is an ownership pattern. The token URI is like kind of a link to the unique data. That unique data is usually content addressable, so it lives in IPFS, and if it ever changes, that changes. So you've kind of signed this very immutable information on, or you've locked up this very immutable information in the token that represents the IPFS stuff. So to change it, it's kind of interesting, and there's a couple ways to do it, but this was the kind of most straightforward way on chain. Is basically we look at some logic and then we return one token URI or the other, and that allows for this to show whether it's off or on, and I can switch it on and this will light up. Like you'll see the metadata change in OpenSea also. So what we did on this one was to take it a little bit farther, and in the smart contract we look at how old the token is. So as the token grows, basically it's like a butterfly, props to Mr. D for the art. But as the butterfly grows, the token URI changes. So that it goes through this metamorphosis sort of over the span of a few days, where the butterfly turns from a little caterpillar into a butterfly. And so it'll start as small caterpillar, and each day it will get bigger and then finally emerge. I added one little extra thing there where like 1 in 12 tokens are going to be rare and a blue butterfly will emerge. And then I added one last thing this morning and YOLO'd it to mainnet. IDK if it's going to be good or not, but I made the claim function payable, and I hard coded the BuidlGuidl multisig in, and I set a price, and then I set a price multiplier here. So each time a butterfly is purchased, it'll go up like 3%, the price will. So now if you go to butterfly claims, you can claim one for $1 on mainnet. I'm going to go ahead and do it here. Why not? It's a speed run, so I better speed up my gas a little bit. Oh, what did I just do? Here we go. There we go. So purchasing a butterfly from Butterfly Claims, and then they'll live in your OpenSea. And one little hack here, you'll have to remember to refresh your metadata each day to see the next butterfly. Butterfly Claims. Awesome. I'm going to stop sharing. Happy Bowtie Friday, you guys. So let's see what's cool with the BuidlGuidl right now. We're kind of going into this idea of like moonshot collective stuff. So we're thinking like we're building DAO-based stuff, governance-based stuff, but also like there's kind of a wing of folks that are working on hoisting the hooks and the components and the services up. So people who fork Scaffold ETH like see the stuff they're supposed to be editing and don't try to go deep editing one of the hooks or something like that. We've got a couple other just like weird projects in the mix too. Lots of little builds going on with the Build Guild, and a lot of people going different directions. I see Osama and Adam on here, and Tajan was here too. Like there's kind of a new crew that are doing Nifty Ink dev. So it's awesome to have a couple more developers helping with Nifty Ink. We're going to see a bunch of functions there. I keep hoping for being able to fork my Nifty Ink. I think Osama added a cool like top 10 list. So keep your eyes on Nifty Ink for cool stuff coming there. Anybody else welcome to give any shouts or think about anything that we should be working on as the Build Guild?
So that the butterflies, those are all forked Nifty Inks, which is currently there's a little like Easter egg of how to do that, but like there are reasons why you don't want to like open that up.
Best way to keep them pinned. It's the best way to keep them pinned. I can trust the IPFS pinner on Nifty Ink. So I knew that if Mr. D made something in Nifty Ink, they would stay pinned. But yes. Wait, was you saying there was a disclaimer there? Like they are made on Nifty Ink and the NFTs are on mainnet though. What was the disclaimer?
No, it's just that like you can currently fork a Nifty Ink, but it's currently hidden.
Yes. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. Mr. D used the forking method, the secret forking method, to start with the tree branch, and then he forked it and did the different like growths. Yeah. Word. I thought you were saying like be careful to click on something because you'll end up at Nifty Ink. Okay, cool. Just double checking. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we were chatting about it yesterday. I think there is a really fun dynamic of letting people create NFTs and let people like fork off their inks. So I think that's definitely something we want to add in, as well as better layout stuff. And yeah, like you said, the guys have been working on it. It's really exciting.
I think it'd be fun to do nifty, like basically game assets. So thinking of making a little isometric game, I might start with a Nifty Ink and kind of sketch the perspective, right? Sketch the isometric box with a nice like gray, and then fork that as a starting point, and then draw something in there, right? And kind of erase the lines and the scaffolding. I feel like if we make a Nifty Ink powered game branch where anyone can make a game, but if you ever need to draw in your game assets, you can just dive over to Nifty Ink and draw them real quick, and then just like grab the IPFS thing and paste it into your game. It might make like game iterations kind of fun, and also like very extensible, right? Once it's plugged in like that, like anyone can add in it any NFT into the game. So I think that might be coming too. Maybe we've talked about like DeFi was one wave and NFTs are another wave, and this kind of governance DAO public goods funding is another wave. Maybe like gaming and L2 coming out. Maybe like we should be thinking of the future is now and building like fast things that don't work exactly like L1 works, because L2 is coming and we can release. It's also my son's birthday. Here, come here. Say happy birthday. That's chocolate on his sleeve.
Happy birthday.
All right.
Oh, it's my mom's. Okay. It's my mom's birthday too today. So
hey, all right. All right, thanks guys. Hearts. Happy Bowtie Friday. Thank you for Roz for showing off the diamond standard. Check out Butterfly Claims. See you guys in the chat. Hearts.